Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by Lou DiBella for this week's DiBella's Digest. And Lou, I have to ask, as always, how's your week been?
It's been an encouraging week. I feel more optimistic about the world in general and certainly my country. It's a good thing when the trash gets taken out.
Indeed. I want to talk a lot about the heavyweight division this week. A number of different things to talk about. But let's start with the big one, Fury and Joshua. Seems to be moving ever so slightly closer week by week. Looks like a 2-fight deal. First one to take place somewhere in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, I think, leading the charge at the moment. And then we're all hoping, or certainly in the UK, that the rematch could take place on these shores once fans are allowed back in. Exciting times?
I'm looking forward to it. And look, I mean, I've always, I've always been a proponent of the fact that the fight should be taking place in England. But that being said, if they want to fight each other right now, and I think there would be an appetite for a big event worldwide. The money is there in the Middle East to do it with no crowd or with an incredibly limited VIP crowd. So, I get it. And a 2-fight plan that would see them fighting in the Middle East and then fighting in the UK, it seems pretty sensible to me. It's a fight I very much want to see. It's if I was picking 3 fights I want to see right now more than anything else in boxing, it'd be one of the 3.
I guess the only concern with a 2-fight deal is that if someone is incredibly dominant in the first fight, and it lessens the appeal of the second, as we saw with a third Wilder Fury fight.
Yeah, but I don't see even a third Wilder Fury fight would probably be at some point saleable. It was a much different fight this first time than the second time. Like, I'm not buying into all the excuses that were involved, but something was wrong with Wilder that night. I certainly would rather see Fury and Joshua right now. I think Fury's going to beat him if I had a bet. I don't think he's going to wipe him out. He's not the devastating puncher with one-punch power that Deontay was. It's not going to end with some it's not going to be a 2 or 3 round fight. Or a similar fight to Wilder too. I think it's going to be competitive. I think they're going to respect each other enough that it's likely to go the distance. I don't think it's likely that either guy's going to stop the other. I see a decision, and if I had a bet. And I don't see a whitewash. I think Joshua's too good to be whitewashed. Could he lose decisively? Yeah. But a whitewash, the kind of fight where you wouldn't be able to accept the rematch, I think that's unlikely.
Is it a significant factor that we haven't seen Fury in action since the second Wilder fight, and Joshua, who was only in action in December against Kubrat Pulev?
I don't think it'll matter very much. They're both professionals. They know how to fight. They don't forget. A layoff's not. Look, you can get a little bit rusty, but they're in the gym, and they both have gazillions of dollars at their disposal, and you can go get the best of sparring and get into a gym and be in fighting shape through a camp. I don't think the time off's going to matter very much unless there's a further delay and the fight in the Middle East can't be scheduled on some kind of a normal time frame, in which case you would think that Fury would want to get back in the ring. But my gut tells me at this point that they can make the Fury fight with AJ right now if they want to.
And sticking with the heavyweight theme, it's been rumoured in the last week or so that Deontay Wilder will finally make his comeback against Charles Martin, short-lived IBF champion, of course, who Joshua...
I couldn't give a shit about him against Charles Martin. As a fan. I know Charles Martin and his advisor, Mike Barreo's a guy I've been friendly with for a long time, and I'm not going to begrudge them a payday.
Sure.
But who gives a fuck about that fight? And I'd rather see, honestly, Deontay fight because it would say it would mean something to fight like an Andy Ruiz. You know, I think that's a saleable fight. 2 former champions, you know, both of whom have been in with the top of the division and been the top of the division. You know, both of them have been the top of the division. That to me is an interesting fight. But like, I mean, I've seen Brazil, I've seen Gerald Washington, I've seen Charles Martin fight other people. To me, Charles Martin is like another Brazil or Gerald Washington kind of fight. And I don't think it means very much or proves very much. I don't think, by the way, I got to be honest with you. I mean, coming off a layoff and an injury and an ass whooping like Deontay took, I don't think his next fight is going to be an easy go, almost no matter who it is. I think, you know, he's got a lot to prove to himself and to the boxing world. But I don't know what a Charles Martin fight does for anybody, particularly the fans.
Let's talk about a heavyweight fight that will excite you more, or does excite you more, and that's Joseph Parker against Junior Farr. Your guy, obviously not too far away, no pun intended. As it gets closer, are you getting more excited about it? I mean, it's a huge, huge fight.
It's a huge fight. It's a great opportunity. Junior's healthy again. You know, he's had a really rough time, including the latest episode that caused the fight to be delayed. But he's healthy. It's his chance of a lifetime. You know, to fight an icon in New Zealand boxing, which is what Parker has become. And given their history, Parker knows it's not going to be a day in the beach or a walk in the park, to use some metaphors. It's not. I mean, and Junior already believes he can beat Joe Parker. So I think for boxing fans, that's a hell of a fight. And also the spectacle in New Zealand. I mean, it's going to be a huge event there. And literally one of the biggest fights in the history of that country. So, you know, I am looking forward to it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to go, but I'm looking forward to it.
And is the winner of that then knocking on the door for a world title shot?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I have no doubt that the winner of that fight will get a world title fight. So I think that's a meaningful fight. I'm sort of interested to see what's going to happen with Usyk next. You know, and by the way, if the WBO actually did strip and give Usyk a shot to win their title, it'd be unfortunate because you'd like to see Joshua fight Fury for everything. But on the other hand, you sort of would understand it. I mean, Usyk sort of followed protocol to get his shot. So I'm not unsympathetic. But by the way, money can solve anything. And there's a lot of money in the Middle East. And if there's enough money, I'm going to guess a multi-million-dollar check to Usyk probably settles the situation.
Well, the latest chatter is that Usyk against Joe Joyce could be made for an interim title, and then the winner of that challenges the winner of Fury Joshua sometime in 2022, I guess. That would be fascinating to me. Like, you know what? I like that fight. I'm not sure Usyk wins that fight. Big Joe showed me a lot his last fight. You know, if I ever get to see people again, I'm going to slap that kid on the back because I didn't think he could have that kind of performance. I mean, I was very impressed with Joe Joyce's last fight, and I got to tell you, man, Usyk's a great fighter, but he's like probably in my mind one of the greatest cruiserweights of all time. But he's not like he's not a heavyweight naturally. A heavyweight is, you know, he's competing at the heavyweight level at the heavyweight weight class because his boxing skills are so strong. But a giant like a Joe Joyce, a heavy-handed big man with balls, that's not an easy fight for an Usyk. You know, so look, if we got Joshua, if we have like a string of heavyweight fights with Parker and Fa and Usyk and Joyce, and we actually get, you know, and we can get a Deontay and a Ruiz, and we actually get, you know, AJ and Fury, that's a nice run for the heavyweight division. Well, another fight in the heavyweight division that's been reportedly in the works is Martin Boccoli against Filip Hergovich. I don't know how much you've seen of either of those two guys, obviously both based in Europe, but kind of Hergovich unbeaten, Boccoli only lost to Michael Hunter. Seems like a good crossroads fight.
It's a good fight. I would favor Hergovich heavily.
Are you kind of
You know,
sold on Hergovich as an upcoming prospect,
I'm
contender?
sold. I'm sold of him as a quality, world class top 10 heavyweight. I'm not sold on Boccoli as that. So I don't think he's a bad fighter. I just, he got very badly outboxed by Hunter, I thought. And I would think that he would get outboxed by Hergovich, who's also a stronger man, physically stronger man than Hunter.
Yeah.
So, but I don't dislike the fight. Look, man, I like heavyweights more than most people, and I think one way in which these streaming services and networks, particularly in the United States but worldwide right now, are blowing it a little bit is they're not paying attention to how much fight fans and the general public, the general sports fan, likes the big guys. And when I was at HBO, I always got that we always had a major presence, not just with the heavyweight champion, but making quality heavyweight matchups, like keeping active in the heavyweight division. And I don't think the heavyweights are getting the shine they deserve right now. Because, just make competitive fights with heavyweights. People want to see that. I want to see that. I mean, the whole hipster thing of sitting there and talking about Japanese dudes and guys from Thailand and 108-pound guys from Mexico and South America. I mean, I like a good fight, no matter whether the guys, but I'm not into midget boxing, really. I mean, and I don't want to be derogatory. I shouldn't have said that. That's derogatory. I apologize to little people everywhere. But the point I'm making is I'm not that into watch. I'm not that much of a hipster. Give me two giant big men. Give me two big men slugging it out. And yeah, I'll watch Estrada and Chocolatito. I mean, I'm a boxing guy. But I mean, I don't really care about esoteric stuff with 105, 108, and 112-pound guys from around the world. I mean, when we're ignoring the heavyweight division,
Two big guys slugging it out is what I expect we'll get on March the 6th as well. Now the Alexander Povetkin Dillian Whyte rematch has been confirmed. Do you see that going a similar way to the first fight, or do you see Whyte rectifying whatever problems there were and getting the job done?
I'm gonna give an edge to my man Whyte on this one. I'm gonna give an edge to Dillian here. I think that he just got caught, and he's got to be, man. I'm a fan of his. I become a Dillian Whyte fan over time. He's too open to uppercuts, man. He's wide open to an uppercut. So is it conceivable to me that it can follow the same script? Yeah, because Povetkin knows how to throw an uppercut, a pretty good one. And if Whyte can't avoid it and he gets caught with the same kind of punch he doesn't see coming, he's going to go to sleep again. But let's face reality. He dominated the fight till he got caught. And I think he's going to be more careful in the next fight. And I'm going to guess that he's got a good enough corner and people around him that they're going to spend a decent time in that camp trying to make sure he doesn't leave himself so open for the same punch.
You would hope.
So I'm going to, my money will be on Dillian.
Before I let you go, as we're talking.
Also, I'm not a big fan of Povetkin. He took a lot of money out of my pocket, with whatever he ingested.
Not literally, though.
Almost literally. I mean, I was working with I spent hundreds of thousands in legal fees to sue him, only to have it overturned. And then, I lost the money because the fight never happened with Deontay. So sort of literally, he took money out of my pocket. I'm not a big fan, though. I got to tell you, he landed it perfect. I mean, that was some punch he landed in that fight.
Well, it's very magnanimous of you to say that, given the history. Just before I let you go, as we're talking heavyweights, who's caught your eye in terms of rising heavyweights, young guys who could be a factor in the top level of the division in a few years?
Joyce. I mean, and I'm mentioning him because he's not a young kid because he was an amateur for so long, but he showed me a lot in that last fight. His stock went up with me pretty heavily in the last fight. I think I have a kid, Stephen Shaw, who was a former U.S. national champion who just had a good win on that Ring City boxing series. But I really do think that he has the ability to be a top guy in the division. Jalalov, when the Olympics are over, I would bet money that Jalalov would be a heavyweight champion. I would bet money right now, like on a future. I think those guys are the ones that that stand up to me the most. I mean, Dubois took a real step. You know, the same way that Joyce took that step up for me. Dubois took a step back in my estimation in that last fight. I'm not sold on Frank Sanchez. I'm not. I think he's talented, but I'm just not sold on him. Any names that you think you can think of? Who
I think
throw out a name. I'll tell you what I think.
Hergovich kind of stands out. We've already discussed him, but he's someone that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I think Hergovich of the European guys that are sort of on that like rising level, I think he stands out a little bit. I think he's talented. You know.
Great stuff. Well, always appreciate your time, but it's good to see you in a sunnier mood. Let's hope it carries on for the next 4 years.
No one died this week, and I don't have to listen to Donald Trump any longer. So it's a pretty good week at the moment.
Great stuff. Well, we're grateful to Joe Biden for giving us a happier Lou DiBella.
Yeah, good talking to you, my friend. I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.